Hello my friends, it's Buck Weezer and you've tuned to Buck's Small Engine DIY on YouTube. Today I'm looking at this Cub Cadet ZT1, the Ultima. And it starts, it runs, it drives. My guy brought it to me and said it needs a new deck belt. Alright, that happens, straightforward enough, but it's what interesting is, maybe you could see this, maybe not. Let's see if the flashlight helps. You look under here, the deck is dirty, but the belt is still intact. It's even tight, you know. Belt kind of looks okay at this point. Why does he say it needs a new deck belt? Well, that's when it gets interesting, because as we come here to the back and get down and look here at the, look, here's the belt. It is broken, but it's still connected to the PTO pulley. See that right there? Then there's a spot where the belt is missing, and then this side is connected again. And it's almost like it kind of melted onto this pulley. So what in the world is up with that? Did this PTO clutch fail? Did it get hot? Did the bearings die? Was it working? And then when we stopped it, it was so hot, the belt just melted around that pulley. Looks like the drive belt up higher is kind of chewed up a little bit too. I guess we need to investigate this a little further. I feel like I need to take off this electric PTO and look at it a little more closely. Alright, I got the belt broken loose, and it does seem to have like melted, and we just have some of these strands of cord. I'm going to go ahead and take it down. We'll get it over to the bench and look at it. Alright, there it is. That's okay. Alright, so here is the electric PTO clutch up on the bench. The bearings seem fine. I can spin that easily by hand. I want to just take a resistance reading. So with my multimeter on the ohm setting, just see what kind of resistance reading we get. 3.5. So that really tests out fine, I think. I want to try to clean up some of the built-up rust here, and then I also have to clean this the groove of this pulley, assuming this PTO clutch is good. I got to clean out some of this melted belt and built up rust. You know, sometimes I think people are leaving their equipment outside. I don't think that's a good idea. And there's no telling how long this thing has sat between now and when it was last used. But from the looks of the zero turn and from this kind of rust buildup, it makes me think it's been sitting for quite a while since it was last used and sitting outside. So that's not a good combination. So I'm just bench testing this PTO clutch. I got a harness from another project and plugged it in, positive and negative. And we should be able to hear it click and see the plate jump a little bit when we give it 12 volts. So that seems to be testing out just fine, and I think it's working. So that's all good. I don't think there's a problem with it. But I do have to clean out the melted belt and junk inside the groove of this pulley before we can use it again. But I think still working just as it should. All right, I've cleaned the melted belt and rust as best I could out of this groove. It's certainly not perfect. I used my angle grinder to go in there for the melted belt that was still in the innermost crevice, and then for some of the more thick built up rust. I also used my VEVOR rotary tool with the wire brush, and I also used some sandpaper. So hopefully that's going to be good enough to get this thing working reliably again. Alright, let's go ahead and get this clutch up there. I'm gonna put a little anti-seize on the crankshaft. You can see there was already some on there. That's always good. And I'm also going to put some on our bolt on the threads. Just a little bit. That'll make everybody happy. Especially next time we come around to doing this job. Alright, so here's the bracket. You may not be able to see it. We got to get the clutch into that groove. Alright, I think that's up there. We're in the groove. It's locked in place. That's good. And we can connect our wiring harness. All right. So that's it for now. I got to order the belt, and should be able to install that belt when it gets here. I don't need to machine on the jack stands anymore, so I'll put it down on the ground. I gotta go over that deck a little bit because it's so filthy dirty. So I'm gonna take a deck out and do a little maintenance on the deck too while we wait for the belt to arrive. And then we'll be ready to finish this job up. Look at this deck. Look at all this dirt. No wonder things aren't working right. So this says to me they're not cleaning it off after each mow, and they're leaving it outside. And those are not good practices. That may account for why this thing's here. Okay, we'll take care of it. Alright, we're underneath the deck, and from up above I could tell that one of these spindles was locked up, and now I see why. Looks like we've run over a towel, a rag, or a shirt. Yeah, that'll burn up some belts and bearings, won't it? Ow. I guess I'll have to figure out how to cut this out of here. Wow. The crazy stuff people do. Yeah, I think this has sat for a while, and the guy who owns this may not be the original owner. He may have bought it. I don't really know. Oh man. The crazy stuff we end up doing. Because people don't take care of their stuff. Well, at least it's starting to spin now. Yay. It spins again. Wow, that's fabulous. This I could probably use a new set of blades too. This one's kind of bent. I don't know if I'll be able to talk them into that, but it really would be nice. Alright, welcome back. So we're going to finish up things with this Cub Cadet Zero Turn. We're going to install new blades. I got new blades, a new deck belt, and this thing will be done. And last night it occurred to me, I know exactly what happened. We found that rag. It ran over a rag and it got wrapped around the spindle. It immobilized the deck. The belt stopped spinning. The deck stopped working. However, the PTO in the back kept spinning and burning up that belt while it spun, right? It makes perfect sense now. Deck's immobilized by that rag. PTO keeps spinning with the engine, melts and burns that belt right up. I'll bet that smelled real good. Oh my goodness. And then of course it melted and we had to clean all that up as we did yesterday. All right, we're going to put on some new blades, and I'm going with, I've never tried these before, 810. Have you used these? I mostly got them because I'm not that worried about aftermarket blades. I think they'll be fine. They're a little bit cheaper and they could ship them to me the next day. So they came FedEx. That's great. And I got a sticker. But can we be honest, 810 almost makes it looks like the brand Stens, another aftermarket brand you've probably heard of. Doesn't it look like that? It does. I think there's something suspicious about that. All right, so let's go ahead and install these blades and get this project done. All right, so let's get going here. You know, so here's the old blades, and they really are pretty beat up and rusty. And you know, it's just surprising to me. You know, this mower's only 2 years old. A little more than 2 years. It was made in April of 2023, and it's just really beat up in a short time. I'm surprised. All right, I'm going to put a little anti-seize on the threads. I got to make sure I get these on in the correct orientation. You don't want to put them on upside down. So I'm pretty sure they were on correctly previously, so let's try and match it. Alright, like that. And a washer. And a nut. Now, 15/16 nut is what I think this is. Now, I took these off with the big gun, but I'm not putting them back on with the big gun. And I do that because I don't want to torque them. That big electric impact I have will really torque these down. And you know, it's just a lawnmower. They have to be torqued, yes, they have to be tight. But this little guy, I think, is fine for putting them on. You know, they're not going to come off. They're just not. All right, so there's one. That's the one that had the rag on it. All right. See about getting this one here in the center. All right. These babies are individually wrapped. All right. That's good. And we got one more. I spent all day today working on the ground. You know why? You see what I'm doing? I was working on a generator, that guy right over there, and I was by myself and it was too heavy to move up under the table. I was working on the ground. And I'm on the ground again. You know where they make never seas? Overseas. Get it? Oh, I got a million of them. Okay, let's put this belt on. This belt is 5/8 inch thick, 143.5 inches long, and it's pretty simple, but I have to loosen these two idlers in order to get it between the pulley and the keeper. All right, 9/16 top and bottom. All right. That's that one. Now this one, what's up with this guy? I think this guy might go all the way through the deck. All right, we'll figure that out. All right, I got the belts under the keepers on these pulleys, and so we're good to go. I think what I want to do is slide this back under the tractor, connect the deck, and then I want to put the belt over the PTO in the back and leave it a little bit slack here, and I'll put it last on this pulley right here, because we'll be working against the tension of this spring. And so I'm going to leave this pulley over here, the belt there, and we'll just walk it onto that pulley at the end. At least that's my plan right now. Well, we're all back together now. All that remains is to fire it up and take it for a ride and see how it does. Oh, And that's it. It's done. I think we did a reasonably good job, thorough, figured out what the problem was, why it happened, and we took all the steps to get it resolved and back mowing again. So, yeah, hopefully that the owner of this will start parking it indoors instead of leaving it outdoors, and hopefully he'll get some good hours of use out of this. Pretty nice machine, really, and I enjoyed working on it. I hope the video was helpful to you. Please like, subscribe, appreciate all that. Leave your comments and questions down below. Always like to hear from the guys and gals who watch my videos. Remember, only you can put the do into do-it-yourself. Got another zero turn sitting out there behind me. That's next. See ya.